Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once upon a time there were 3 bears who lived together in a house of their own in a wood. One of them was a little small wee bear, and one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great huge bear. They had each a pot for their porridge, a little pot for the little small wee bear, and a middle-sized pot for the middle bear, and a great pot for the great huge bear. And they had each a chair to sit in, a little chair for the little small wee bear, and a middle-sized chair for the middle bear, and a great chair for the great huge bear. And they each had a bed to sleep in, a little bed for the little small wee bear, and a middle-sized bed for the middle bear, and a great bed for the great huge bear. One day, after they had made the porridge for their breakfast and poured it into their porridge pots, they walked out into the woods while the porridge was cooling, that they might not burn their mouths by beginning to eat it too soon. And while they were walking, a little girl came into the house. This little girl had golden curls that tumbled down her back to her waist, and everyone called her Goldilocks. Goldilocks had been walking through the woods on her way to her grandmother, but she had taken a shortcut and lost her way. After wandering around the woods for a very long time and starting to despair of ever seeing her grandmama or her parents again, she came across a little house. She was very relieved, because she was certain that whoever lived in the house would help her. You see, she did not know that the house belonged to the 3 bears. Goldilocks went up to the house and knocked on the door, but nobody answered. After a while she looked through the window and saw the porridge on the table that the 3 bears had made for their breakfast. She said to herself, "Oh, how I wish I could eat some of that porridge. I'm so very hungry." Now, perhaps Goldilocks should have waited till the bears came home, and then perhaps they would have asked her to breakfast, for they were good bears, a little rough or so, as the manner of bears is, but for all that very good-natured and hospitable. But Goldilocks did something rather naughty. She tried the latch on the door of the house and found that it was open. Because, you see, the bears didn't expect that anyone would come along and steal their porridge, and so they hadn't bothered to lock the door of the house when they went out. Goldilocks went inside. First she tasted the porridge of the great huge bear, and that was far too hot for her. And then she tasted the porridge of the middle bear, and that was too cold for her. And then she went to the porridge of the little small wee bear and tasted that. And that was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. And she liked it so well that she ate it all up. Then the little Goldilocks sat down in the chair of the great huge bear, and that was too hard for her. And then she sat down in the chair of the middle bear, and that was too soft for her. And then she sat down in the chair of the little small wee bear, and that was neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. So she sat till the bottom of the chair came out, and down she came, plump upon the ground. And the naughty little girl laughed out loud. Then Goldilocks went upstairs into the bedchamber in which the 3 bears slept. And first she lay down upon the bed of the great huge bear, but that was too high at the head for her. And next she lay down upon the bed of the middle bear, and that was too high at the foot for her. And then she lay down upon the bed of the little small wee bear, and that was neither too high at the head nor at the foot, but just right. So she covered herself up comfortably and lay there till she fell fast asleep. By this time the 3 bears thought their porridge would be cool enough, so they came home to breakfast. Now naughty Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great huge bear standing in his porridge. "Somebody has been at my porridge," said the great huge bear in his great gruff voice. And when the middle bear looked at his, he saw that the spoon was standing in it too. Somebody has been at my porridge, said the middle bear in his middle voice. And then the little small wee bear looked at his, and there was the spoon in the porridge pot, but the porridge was all gone. Somebody has been at my porridge and has eaten it all up, said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Upon this the three bears, seeing that someone had entered their house and eaten up the little small wee bear's breakfast, began to look about them. Now Goldilocks had not put the hard cushion straight when she rose from the chair of the great huge bear. Somebody has been sitting in my chair, said the great huge bear in his great rough gruff voice. And the little girl had squished down the soft cushion of the middle bear. Somebody has been sitting in my chair, said the middle bear in his middle voice. And you know what the naughty little girl had done to the third chair. Somebody has been sitting in my chair and sucked the bottom out of it, said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Then the three bears thought that they should look over the house more, so they went upstairs into their bedroom. Now Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great huge bear out of its place. Somebody has been lying in my bed, said the great huge bear in his great rough gruff voice. And Goldilocks had pulled the bed cover of the middle bear out of its place. Somebody has been lying in my bed, said the middle bear in his middle voice. And when the little small wee bear came to look at his bed, there was the bed cover in its place, and the pillow in its place upon the bolster, and upon the pillow was a pool of golden curls, and the angelic face of a little girl snoring away fast asleep. Somebody has been lying in my bed, and here she is, said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Goldilocks heard in her sleep the great rough gruff voice of the great huge bear, but she was so fast asleep that it was no more to her than the roaring of wind or the rumbling of thunder. And she had heard the middle voice of the middle bear, but it was only as if she had heard someone speaking in a dream. But when she heard the little small wee voice of the little small wee bear, it was so sharp and so shrill that it awakened her at once. Up she started, and when she saw the three bears on one side of the bed, she had the fright of her life. But to tell you the truth, the bears were almost as alarmed by her as she was by them. Goldilocks jumped off the bed and ran downstairs, out through the door and along the garden path. She ran and she ran until she reached the house of her grandmamma. And when she told Granny all about the house where the three bears lived in the wood, Granny said, My, what a wild imagination you have, child. But Goldilocks knew that the story was true. And as for the three bears, from then on, whenever they went out of their little house in the woods, they always locked the door in case Goldilocks came back and stole their porridge again. But they need not have worried about little Goldilocks, for as long as she lived, she never took anything again that didn't belong to her, unless, of course, she had the permission of the owner.